Hey, what's going on? The Hangout Live, baby.
Hangout Live. Feels like we've been on summer break.
We have been on summer break. We took spring break off, right? Is that what we did?
Something like that.
Yeah, you high school kids, I tell you. So, welcome back to the show. We've got a great show tonight with Gregg Fox. He's been talking to us pre-show, and it's going to be fantastic. A couple quick shout-outs right now that we want to give. Number one is the State Line Band, baby. Check that hat out. Ooh, that's pretty, isn't it?
State Line.
They took number one. They won the award for the best new band in Texas last night. So big shout outs to Patrick, Jody, and the guys. Congratulations, brothers. And we'll have you on the show again here soon to talk about that. Another big shout out over to Backbeat Music for being our sponsor and hanging with us through all of this, the last year that we've been doing this show almost, Robbie.
Yeah, I know. Coming up on a year now.
It's crazy, right? So we've got a good show tonight. We've got Gregg joining us, and Robbie, you actually brought Gregg to the show tonight, and man, his lineup, his background is pretty significant, brother.
Yeah, we met through a mutual friend, I guess a couple years back, that connected us together and had me play on one of the tracks for his record.
Wow.
And it was a mutual friend who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he was a killer bass player that I'd known the guy for a long time, Mikey Bones, and Mikey connected us together, and we've been friends ever since.
Nice. Helen, thank you very much for saying happy anniversary. It is. It's my wife and
Oh yeah, that's right. Happy anniversary. I forgot about that. Look at you.
Thank you so much. All right, so let's bring
Brett
Gregg
Fox
in.
is on there. Look at Brett.
What's going on? All right. Gregg, what are you doing, brother?
Hey guys, how are ya?
We are lovely. How you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to be here with you guys.
It's nice to have you, my friend.
It's cool to see your faces. It's been a long time, Robbie.
Yeah.
The last time we saw each other was like the NAMM show 2019, was it?
Yeah,
was
19,
it 18? Might have been 18.
Oh, you know what? It was 18. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was 18 because in 19 I played that same room we were in. In 18 we were hanging out and I saw you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That was fun.
It was
badass.
NAMM's always a super fun experience. It seems to me that night that we were hanging out there, which was 2018.
Yeah.
Wasn't that like some super group jam thing with Bumblefoot and Steve Vai and what else? Steve about that?
It was Steve Vai, and it was basically the David Lee Roth band, the original version of it with him and Billy Sheehan and Craig Bissonette, right? And then they had some guys singing.
Yes, but I can't remember who was singing.
I don't remember, but it was
It was fun.
I mean, if you remembered it, you weren't there. No. You just got to remember bits and pieces.
Right. Hey, quick shout out.
Jennifer and I haven't met yet, so I thought I'd give her a shout out, say hello since she just popped in and said hello.
There you go. Quick shout out to our brother Darren O'Brien. He sent me a kick-ass package. Gregg, I can forward you some of it. Gave me a bunch of really cool stuff, great white stuff, some face masks, some bracelets, some nice bottles of wine. And
awesome.
Hell of a nice guy. So thanks for that, brother. I appreciate you very much. All right, so let's get into it, Gregg. Let's get into who is Gregg Fox, man.
Oh, my God. Don't ask me that.
Well, then you did it right if you don't remember, my friend.
So, so
But as I
seriously,
was saying earlier, talking about the old days back here in Seattle, most of the '80s, I'm not sure I remember all that much of it. I've lived so many lives in so many places and so many different bands since then.
well,
Uh,
say before the band thing, how did you get into even playing? What started that first? What were you doing that
right.
got you into playing?
That was
What
mom
was
and dad. Mom and dad completely. My mom and dad are incredibly musical. I was raised in the church, and my mom was the organist. My dad was the choir director. My sister and I were like singing in front of the church when she was 3 and I was 5. So yeah, it's definitely in my DNA. The whole family thing. There was always a piano in all of our homes, and we were always singing. We were gathered around the piano multiple times throughout the week and rehearsing for the next, Sunday school experience and for performances in church. But mom and dad got me on lessons when I was 5. So I started actually taking lessons when I was 5. There was a guy in our church that was a phenomenal piano player, a young guy. His name was Kurt Brookshire. And so he was my first piano teacher. And it was fun to learn from somebody young and that I saw play in church all the time and kind of inspired me and that I looked up to. So he was the first one. And from there, I think he moved and I had some old ladies teaching me for a while, this one and that one. And that was not nearly so fun, but yeah, so I had 12 years of lessons. And so I had a pretty good background in a lot of music, and I went on to study music in college. In elementary school, I started playing violin, and I loved being in the orchestra. So this whole orchestra thing that I've carried on the tradition with. I haven't played violin in years and years and years, except through my samples on keyboards. So I certainly wouldn't be able to play it very well anymore, but it certainly inspired me. It's kind of a part of my thing. I just love that sound of the orchestration and the cellos and the violas and the way it blends. So I incorporate that in most of my music. It's kind of my Gregg Fox thing from being a violinist, and I played violin all through school in community college, which I'm up in Seattle right now, by the way, gang. I'm a Las Vegas guy, but right now I'm up in Seattle helping the family with some family situations. My mom had hip surgery. But the college I went to is probably, as the crow flies, maybe a mile away from where I'm at right now, and studied music there. But strangely enough, when I was at Green River Community College, the only position that was available, they didn't have an orchestra, but it was bass. So I was playing bass in the vocal group and the swing choir, and we ended up going to some international competitions in Hawaii and actually placed first place. And a lot of my Seattle buds were in school with me there. Keyboardist Brooke Lazotz and drummer Art Ford went to school with me at Green River Community College, and they later started an incredible band called Zero Deals. And Art's been in LA for probably 25 years now, 30 years now. I think he was vice president at BMG for a long time, and now he has his own company called World Music, where he does a lot of publishing and places stuff in a lot of films. And I just sent him the new record, A Song of Hope, last week, and he was very excited when he heard it. The Queen sounding song called Circus Life. I had him listen to that. And he went, "Man, that's phenomenal. I love it." So we're hoping he'll find some placements. But you know how it is in that business. It could happen next week. Nobody could hear it, or it might not land anywhere for 2 years. But It's nice that we have it out there and Art's doing that. So a very cool thing. And I should probably give a shout out to Serene for hooking me up with Art again. Art Ford and I had not talked together for probably 25, 30 years. And she said, you should make sure that Art has this new record and see if he can do some placements for you. So we had a really, really fun conversation a couple weeks ago talking about the old days back here in Seattle.
Did you play in any rock bands at all back then? Any bands?
Absolutely. Yeah. in the day.
But I mean, like in grade school or through high school or anything, or
we did a couple little things in high school, but not a lot. I was kind of the orchestra guy back then.
yeah, that's
The
just one.
guys who were playing rock and roll and actually had bands thought I was the orchestra nerd. So it was actually after that I got serious about the rock thing and started getting some bands together. And my first serious project here in town was a band out of Bremerton, of all things. And I moved there because my girlfriend Lorelei was the singer in that band. And she was she's still a phenomenal singer. And she's out in Montana now, but she's still writing a lot of originals with her new project. But that was a Bremerton band called Ictus, Ictus, which means a repeating rhythm, repeating rhythmic figure, right? Well, actually before that, I had a band called Icarus. So I kept kind of following that same thing with, the mythology thing. And we had a studio in Kent called Orange Studios that we built. It was pretty amazing. We had the newest Tascam system, the 2-inch tape back then.
Right.
And when we cut and paste, we literally cut and, we taped. We didn't actually paste.
Right.
Yeah.
I lived in Kent.
Did you really?
Yes, I spent a couple years in Kent in the 80s.
Yeah. Well, Howard Leese, who I ended up working with a lot and still do, he was on the last record. And I worked with him in the Radiant the Rock Vault show where I subbed for Michael T. Ross fairly often. And so it's nice to hook up with Howard again. And he was on a song on the last record, which is called In Times of Old. And you can hear that on Spotify. Howard played a brilliant guitar solo. It's a very Trans-Siberian orchestra type song, all instrumental, called Alexander's Symphony. So Alexander's Symphony from the record In Times of Old on Spotify, you could hear that. But Howard had a house right up on the hill, kind of overlooking the studio area. And so I spent a lot of time with him back in the probably early 90s it was. We had a project that was called Sister Mary. And it was Pamela Moore from Queensrÿche, who played Sweet Sister Mary on Operation Mindcrime. And so I wrote material. The band wrote about half the material. And Howard produced that. We actually recorded that and produced that at Bad Animals, downtown Seattle. So that was kind of a fun thing.
You might want to give a background for people who might not know who Howard Leese is, because some people
Howard Leese. Yeah. Howard Leese is a guitar player in the band Heart, was for years and years. And he now plays with Paul Rogers on a steady basis, and I think has for probably the last 10 years. But yeah, Howard is a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, inducted with the group Heart. So to have him on a record and to have a guitar solo from him was something that back in the 80s I certainly didn't know what was going to happen. But the whole thing with the last album, which had 27 different artists, from everything from Black Sabbath to Whitesnake to Foreigner, amazing lineup of drummers, amazing lineup of guitar players. Bumblefoot from Guns N' Roses was on the last record, as well as the great Robby Lochner.
Yes, in fact, since you brought that up, I think it's time we just rock out for a minute. What do you think, brother?
Let's do it. Right on. I think you're talking about the Ice Age coming.
I am, dude. I'm going to actually share that right now. We're just going to sit back. We've got a 7-minute video, and we're going to rock it all the way through, Robbie.
We're going to see you last night just because I knew I was doing the show today with Robbie. I thought it'd be cool to have a song we played on together. So
how cool is that, right?
Video, but this can I tell you a little bit about this video before we do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of an interesting video in that I used the studio track, and the studio track has the legendary Vinny Appice from Black Sabbath and Dio on it. Bucket list thing to have him play on a Renaissance Rock Orchestra record. And it has Mark Bowles, who was the singer on our brand new record that is going to be released April 15th, called A Song of Hope, and Robbie playing guitar. But so for the video, what I did is I used the studio track, and I tied it together with some live footage of the Renaissance Rock Orchestra playing at Vamped in Las Vegas one of my favorite places to play in town, the number one rock and roll venue in Las Vegas. So on the live versions that you're seeing Brian Tichy on drums from Whitesnake and Foreigner, and Christian Brady from Hell Yeah on guitar. You'll see Tony Alleman playing guitar. He's handling most of Robbie's parts, I think, in the Ice Age Cometh. So yeah, it's kind of cool because you see that cut in of the live shows, and we're actually hearing Robbie playing the guitar parts, even though we're watching Tony and Christian playing them live. So that's how I did it.
All right, well, let's check it out right here.
Cool. Go, Robbie. Wow. Yeah, that was fun. Nice job, Robbie.
Ah, thanks.
That was awesome.
It's been a while. Well, I heard it earlier when you sent it to me, but I was like, wow, it's been a while since I've heard it.
Nice. Yeah, that was fun to see it again and to work with it. I love the guitar line.
Yeah.
You kind of augmented my suggestions on the guitar line on that, and it turned out so cool. The kind of melodic thing you did during the verses that keeps rolling along, and that was nice. It's such a tasty solo too. Thank you, sir.
Cool.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You didn't realize, Drake, that the Ice Age Cometh is pretty epic. I mean, this is like end of the world opus epic kind of stuff. All, gosh, what is it? 9 minutes? I'm not sure. I can't hear you, Drake.
They want to know where they can buy it at, my brother.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, that song, The Ice Age Cometh, is on the record In Times of Old. And In Times of Old is available everywhere. It's on Spotify. It's on every digital platform. It's on CD Baby. Hey, if you want to get a CD copy, just message me on Facebook, and I'll make sure you have one. Now, we are working on a brand new website that I think is going to be done by the end of next week. And the new website is really going to be great. It's going to feature all of our merch, our T-shirts, all the CDs. I mean, we have 3 now, and so everything will be available. I'm not sure if we're going to go with Shopify or Burning Shed, but there'll be a store available. So that'll be all by next week. But yeah, if you want it sooner, you can listen to it on Spotify. And by all means, please, everybody go to Spotify and follow Renaissance Rock Orchestra. Same thing is true with YouTube, of course. We need to please subscribe while you're there. I know it's a real pain because it takes time. They log you out. You have to re-log in to subscribe and stuff. But of course, it's so important to gain that following. Social media, unfortunately, is the criteria by which all record labels decide if a project is valuable enough to market and spend the time on. And we know that's a whole other subject in itself, whether it's worthwhile to have a label do that anymore. Most bands are going do it yourself For this particular project, I would like to align myself with one of the labels, whether it ended up, I have several that are interested. And when you do that, I think that their following, whether it's 100,000 or 300,000 or 400,000 people on their websites and on their digital platforms, helps brand a band, very quickly. And I think that's what we need with this project, with an unknown to most people project. So that's my plan. Yeah, to try to gain some followers from whatever label we end up aligning with. Yeah.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. So we've got all kinds of questions coming in. Jennifer Berner wants to know, how did you end up playing with Miley Cyrus at the Country Music Awards in 2009?
Yeah, I usually don't even talk about that much. The whole Miley Cyrus thing. Most of my rocker and metal fans don't want to even know that I ever did that. But the funny thing about it is that, and thank you very much for the question, Jennifer. She warned me, I saw on Facebook earlier, that she had lots of questions. So I was going, oh boy, I hope I remember the answers. So, yeah, that was kind of a wild experience. It will most likely be in my life, strangely for good or bad, the largest audience that I may have ever played for in my entire life. I mean, there was 35 million people watching on CBS, and there at the MGM in Las Vegas live, I think it was 25, 30,000. So, it was a big deal, certainly, to do it. And to play on her song, of all of her pieces, the song "The Climb" is a kind of a history-making song for her career.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I did enjoy playing that. I had a very interesting experience. The way it worked out, first of all, for doing it, is there's a cat that lives out in Las Vegas. Benoit is his name. He's a French guy, and he's like family to Miley. He's the bus driver. He's been her bus driver for years. And he's got a studio out on his horse property out in Las Vegas. So it was actually through Benoit that I was asked to do that. There was something going on with her band for that particular show. Somebody was ill. I can't remember quite what the circumstance was. But, yeah, it was nice to be able to do it. Interesting thing about that, too, is the song "The Climb" starts with piano. And we had done rehearsals with her. I think we did 2 days of rehearsals, which was nice with her. And back then, this was the pre-twerking days. So her mom was there as, kind of her, what's the word I'm looking for? Not escort, but her, with her. You're right. Yeah. Making sure that she was always around Miley and keeping her safe, etc. But when we did the show, the way we did the CMA Awards, because the piano is live, I had to play the part live. A lot of the bands, like the string players, they had tracks for. But so I had in-ears to hear a click for when I start, right? And so Billy Ray was doing an introduction for his daughter. It was one of her first. Well, that song was so pivotal and so large. And during his introduction, they're doing all these changes backstage and pulling the piano out, getting it prepared, throwing the in-ears to me. And right at the moment when they're pulling everything aside and all the props are out of the way and it's the band, the click track was supposed to start then, and I had nothing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, my first major television spot, and I have to play this part, and I have no idea where it's at, when to start. No. So I'm just completely freaking out, and I'm yelling at the stagehands, going, I got nothing. This guy was amazing. These guys are so good. This guy had my in-ears changed in my ears by the time the props hit the wall, and I heard the click, and I started, and I just went, oh, thank God. Right?
Oh, what a moment of
a little bit of a heroin experience.
Right. Laura says you look and seem like a great guy to hang out with, brother.
Well, thank you, Laura. I think I am. Most of my friends say that.
There you go. So Blair Abernathy wants to know, he asked how long you've been playing piano. We discussed that he started at the age of 5,
Right.
but
Yeah.
he wants to know who your influences were
Oh, yeah.
growing up through the years.
Yeah. Good question. Very good question. Being at my age, the guys that I came up with when I started listening, to music. Yeah, because I was raised in the church, I really wasn't allowed to listen to a lot of rock and roll early on. I wish that I could say that it was Fats Domino and Jerry Lee Lewis and Art Tatum and all these great keyboardists, but unfortunately, I really wasn't allowed to listen to that kind of music much. It was all church music, right?
Wow.
So when I got to the age that rock and roll and popular music was happening, I was, first of all, one of my first records was Abbey Road. So the Beatles were a huge influence to me, and even I'm not ashamed to say that the Carpenters were brilliant songwriting, and
Absolutely.
so I love that music. But when I started listening to a lot of the current records, obviously Elton John was a huge influence, a big thing. But I went straight. For me, it was kind of interesting. I was a huge Led Zeppelin fan, of course. So I started with the Beatles record, and then I went straight to Jimi Hendrix and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Huge influence to me. Huge influence to me. As a young man, they were so gigantic in the '60s, right? But from there, I definitely went to the Led Zeppelin, to the hard rock thing. So John Paul Jones, I always loved what he did with keyboards. And so I had a number of bucket list experiences getting to do some things with John Paul and with Robert Plant, strangely enough, out of the blue at Pier 70 in Seattle, while they were doing a show up at the Coliseum, and I'm in a cover band. They come down to Pier 70, which is straight down the hill.
Right.
And the night before, I had what's called an emulator sampler, one of the very first keyboard samplers back then. And Robert had released a song. Is it called Long Tall One, Long Cool One?
Long Cool One.
Long Cool One, right? And it has all the Led Zeppelin samples in it from all their songs, from all the records. And I had spent all night long sampling all those sounds into my emulator to play that song. And he happened to walk in while we were playing and got up on stage and sang with us.
Wow.
So that's like, that's like right out of a movie, right? Yeah.
Brother, I've got goosebumps. Seriously, you got to do that.
Yeah, no, that was just right out of a movie. Pretty amazing. Wow. But when it comes to influences, because I had so many years of lessons and started at 5, the first time I heard Yes, my mind was blown, and I was completely in love with Yes, and have been my whole life. So I would have to say they're my favorite band, my favorite music. To me, it's very spiritual, very inspiring, with so many keyboards, of course. Keith Emerson, another huge influence. I mean, what a monster. And he definitely influenced some of my style, and every now and then you'll hear that. But I tend to play a little bit more like Rick Wakeman. I have a lot of my solos and things I play the arpeggio and melodic style of Rick versus kind of the improvisational style of Keith Emerson. And yet, once again, when I say that, if you come see one of my shows in Las Vegas, usually at Vamped with my Led Zeppelin all-star band, the Moby Dicks, and they let me stretch out for 15, 20 minutes on the solo before no quarter. And a lot of times I'll go into a thing where I'm improvising a lot of Keith Emerson's sounding stuff too. So I guess that's in there too. Yeah.
Nice, brother. Nice. So Ray Winter, just because this is one of the coolest comments I've read, it's tough being a male groupie all these years.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Ray's a good friend of mine from back in the Bremerton days, from the band I was talking about. And Ray's a great drummer, a very good drummer. So nice. But yeah, good friend. Yeah, he's seen a lot of my shows over the years, but definitely back in the old days.
So we've got a question here, and it's going to lead to something else. Greg, you ready for this?
Yeah. Sure. Oh my, yeah, good point. Yeah, hi Christina. I should point out to everybody that that was Christina Avila that just asked that question, and she is my East Coast promoter, and I want to give her a big shout out and a huge thank you and heart to Christina, because she set this up. She has been doing an amazing job. She's been working with us for about 2 months now, and she is such a hard worker and has closed a lot of interviews, and we're actually going to be on the cover of a magazine thanks to Christina. The Las Vegas magazine Sin City Presents will have us on the cover this next month, April. Christina, you rock. I love you. Thank you so much for everything. And to answer that question, right, I recently have been doing some work with John Payne from Asia.
Nice.
And he asked me over to his house, beautiful, beautiful home in Las Vegas. He was originally working on a thing for a TV show, kind of a TV spot. And I walked in, and he said he needed 8 minutes of material. I said, well, do you have anything yet? Well, not really. What's it supposed to be like? Well, they're looking for kind of a spacey thing, maybe a little Pink Floydish. And so I sat down and wrote an 8-minute piece that John really loved a lot. And we spent close to a week. Oh, I got to give a shout out to my angels. I have a bunch of girls that are just amazing, that have been helping doing a lot of promotional things. And they're my Charlie's angels. So I'm their Charlie. They wanted to say hello. But so, yeah, the thing with John Payne worked out really well. We worked together in a great way. His studio is beautiful. He spent 3 years putting the studio together, and it sounds so unbelievable. He's a great producer, John Payne, and he has equipment that's all the newest stuff. The library of keyboard sounds is phenomenal. I think he has 50 or 60 microphones that are to die for. So the sounds he's getting out of drums and vocals is just amazing. But yeah, the time we spent together writing, he has asked me to write and collaborate and be the keyboard player on the next Asia record.
Nice.
So this is the first time I've actually said that publicly. And I hope that's okay with John, but I'm looking forward to getting back to Las Vegas and actually getting in and working on that record with John. And it's been really a pleasure. He's just such a joy to work with, and we seem to accent each other real well musically. So it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back and do it. And of course, I'm very excited and honored to be invited to be in the project. Asia has sold over 14 million records, and it would be nice to have my name on one of them. So that's something I never ever thought would happen.
That's totally cool, my brother. Totally cool. Jennifer Berner wants to know, does your all-star band travel outside of Las Vegas?
Good question, Jennifer. Good question. At this point, no. We're very, very willing to. And one of my goals has always been to do a lot of festivals to help build the brand, and with a lineup that I have, it's hard to say who I would bring and how many people I would bring. The concept for the new record was to get away from the 27 rock stars that were on the last record in Times of Old, and to kind of create more of what our sound is, with Mark Bowles singing and Brian Tichy doing all the drums. And my original goal was to have one guitar player do the record. We ended up having 3, which includes Michael James Romeo from Symphony X. And while the new record, I don't have Robbie. I'd love to have him on another track for sure. But we have Tony Alleman from Juan Crucier's Rat and Christian Brady from Hell Yeah. So the new lineup to go out is going to include most likely that band and those guys, depending on their touring schedules, because I obviously do have quite a list of availability depending on what other artists are doing. So my ultimate goal with the Renaissance Rock Orchestra, we've been working on a residency in Vegas for several years, and we're very close. We have a couple different opportunities that could be within the next 90 days. But yes, I would love to go do some festivals. Europe would be perfect for this product, as would Japan, as would South America. Outside the U.S., rock and roll and symphonic metal, well, rock particularly, is still the #1 selling musical product in the world. Not in the U.S., unfortunately, but outside this country it is.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's unfortunately, what we've done. Well, it's not our fault. It's kind of the media and what's happened with technology, and things have changed what's happened in the U.S. But yeah, I would love to take the band to Europe, and I'd love to do it with multiple singers during that last video, The Ice Age Cometh, I think a lot of people noticed that Robin McCauley was there on stage, right?
Yeah.
And we were singing several songs on the last record. I had 4 different vocalists on the last record, including Tony Harnell from TNT, Brett Kaiser from the band Kaiser, another phenomenal singer. He sang on a song called My Lonely Heart. But so yes, what I want to do when we get the show going in Vegas or wherever it might be for a festival, I'd like to bring as many people as possible. But that will depend on the budget and the festival itself. You know, it costs a lot to travel these people places and put them up. And of course, these artists are not necessarily cheap. You know, they have a lot of things going on and a lot of opportunities. I pay them very well for the work that we do, particularly shows and rehearsals, you know, to try to make sure that it's financially something that they're able to do.
I just happen to know a concert promoter, Greg, who does rock shows.
I had a feeling that finger was going to be pointing. Fantastic. Well, let's do it. Yeah, I happen to have a pretty amazing band.
I think you do, and I think we're talking with Robbie to bring him out to Texas.
Oh, cool.
So, you know,
awesome.
We might have to talk a little bit. I'm going to throw you up top here for just a moment because I've got to put a comment on here from Christina. It's a little long, so I don't want to block your face. So we'll block Robbie for just a minute. We'll make him Batman. She says, thank you so much, Matt, Drake, and Robby Lochner for making this happen. Also, I am honored, Gregg Fox, to not only represent you and be your East Coast promoter.
Christina, you're amazing. Yeah, we're honored to have you be a part of the team. You do your job so great. You have such a great soul and spirit. It's nice to work with good people. Yeah, so thank you so much for everything.
Absolutely.
And now I've got go ahead.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay, I was going to say I got a comment and a question. So the comment would be, I had a rival high school band called Icarus.
No way, you did not.
Yeah, there was some rival guys that played in a band called Icarus. So when you said that, I'm like, oh, Icarus, those bastards.
Oh no. So you were not in the band Icarus. They were your rivals.
They were rivals. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It's just kind of funny. No, I mean, it's all good fun.
You know, but even if I happened to be in that band back then, it's been a lot of water under the bridge. We would probably be best friends today anyway.
Yeah, right.
Right? Absolutely.
What band were you in high school, Robbie?
It was really, we kind of named it after me, really. The neighborhood kids did. I mean, it was just kind of a strange thing because it was, I mean, we went through a series of names and it was just, you know, I don't know. It ended up being called Rock Lochner was the name of the band because my brother played guitar and I played guitar. And they're like, yeah, the Lochner brothers, Rock Lochner. And there was ROC, Robbie or Charlie. Is going, I kind of, whatever. So that's kind of a funny story.
Awesome.
So the question I wanted to know was, how did you meet Mikey Bones? Because, I mean, I know Mikey through Brett Kaiser. Anybody who remembers the band Kaiser back in the day, they were killer. I mean, Brett's a great singer, as you know, and a super cool guy.
Yeah.
And so I've actually gotten to know Brett more in the last few years, really, since we actually did a show with this show that had Carmine playing drums and Rudy Sarzo playing bass. What's his name? I can't remember. The Billy Stokes that I forget, was it Blood and Muscle, whatever. But so, you know, we've been kind of keeping in touch more since then, and we've done a couple other shows. But Mikey, it was the same thing. I knew of these guys back in the day, and we never really met and talked and hung out. But then Mikey, when I ran into him at the Whiskey, it was at the a music award. I was winning an award for something at the Whiskey, and he was there, and we just hit it off. And that's how we ended up meeting.
Yeah, what year was that when you met? What year did you meet him, Robbie?
Well, I actually knew him from back, you know, in the 80s, when Kaiser played. So we knew of each other, but we never really connected until that year, which was probably 2000 and I can't remember. I want to say 14.
Right.
I can't remember when it was.
I thought you guys had actually been friends for longer than that, so that's pretty.
We knew each other for a long time, but we were never really we never really hung out. You know what I mean? It was we played in bands that played the same place.
Hey, Brett. Speaking of the devil, it's Mr. Kaiser himself.
There he is, right there in the comments.
Hi, Brett. Thanks for joining us here.
Yeah.
been in this conversation for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the way I met Mikey was through moving to Phoenix, which is kind of a crazy thing because back in the day, when rock and roll was kind of hitting a rough point in Seattle, I started doing a lot of timber deals. And I was doing pretty well in the timber business. I was flipping property and flipping timber deals. And I ended up moving to Las Vegas because there was a company down there called the Caribbean Land and Cattle Company. And I was in the middle of a deal to buy 30,000 acres of property down in Belize that had nothing but mahogany on it. And the plan was that we were going to build an ecotourism resort that we were only going to, log a small percentage, and we were actually going to save the rainforest because what they're doing is, it's all being cut down, it's all being burned down, the whole slash and burn agricultural theory at that time particularly. So, we thought if we could take off like 3% of the trees off this 30,000 acre property and build an ecotourism resort right on a river there in Belize, it'd be a pretty cool thing. But so that property was owned by Caribbean Land and Cattle Company, who was out of Phoenix. So that's why I originally moved to Phoenix, and I spent a couple of years working on that project and that deal and going down to Belize, and I was hiking through the rainforest. I was actually sleeping in a Mayan Indian village in a hut owned by the chief, and the chief was taking us out with a machete. I know it seems like Raiders of
the Lost Ark.
Right.
Well, we were out wandering through the Mayan forest. We literally would find Mayan ruins that nobody had ever seen before. We'd be walking up a creek and suddenly it'd be like stone walls. I'm going, what? Really? It was very, very cool. But while I was in Phoenix, and once again, I kind of thought rock and roll was dead at the time, at least for me as a keyboard player. So I was doing other things for income. And I happened to walk into the skateboard shop that was owned by a guy by the name of Norm Savadra. I don't know if anybody knows Norm, but he's an unbelievable singer from Phoenix. And there was a pawn shop right next door. There was a Queensryche poster on the wall in his office, and I was doing some kind of business deal with him. And he said, by the way, I sound just like Jeff. And of course I'm going, yeah, right, sure. I ended up going out and seeing his band Superhero with Mikey Bones in it at a little place in Phoenix called, I think it was Mr. Bolo's. And I was going, wow, this is unbelievable. I've got to be in this band. It didn't have anything to do with all the girls up on stage that were dancing. And, well, we'll just leave it at that. It had nothing to do with that. But,
Sure,
so I went back to the skateboard shop to talk with Norm, and right next to the skateboard shop there was a pawn shop, and he said, "Let's go next door. They have some keyboards next door." We went next door. There was literally, I think it was a Yamaha CP70, a piano I had played for years and had one myself, and I started playing this stuff. And he called up the guitar player, Mike Hodges. He says, "Mikey, you got to listen to this. Check this out." It was another one of those movie moments. I have a lot of movie moments. I could probably talk to you guys for about 4 hours of stuff that should be in a movie. But that's kind of how I ended up meeting Mikey Bones. And our very first rehearsal in Phoenix at a place that was a soundstage owned by Norm Savadra, the singer. The first song we played was Separate Ways. And one of the things for me that's super important is programming sounds. Anything I do as a keyboard player, I want to make sure that the sound I use is as fat and huge as possible. So I've been endorsed by Korg for many, many years and been using Korgs since the 80s. And so I'm a very good programmer. And we got done playing this. It was one of those things where you play a song and everybody stops and just looks at each other. The jaw kind of like, did you hear that? Did that sound as good to you as it did to me? But yeah, so that was my experience meeting Mikey Bones, and I played with him in the band Superhero in Phoenix, very, very popular Phoenix band for probably close to 5 years before I ended up buying a sailboat and sailing around the Bahamas. So, that was the next step. Yeah. I left Phoenix, bought a sailboat, sailed around the Bahamas for several years. That was amazing. Yeah.
Man, that's the life right there, brother.
Another bucket list thing, the kind of stuff most people dream about doing. And wow. It's one of those things that sometimes I wish I had those years back, because I did that for close to 7 years. And then when I came back to Venice Beach, California, I mean, it was less than 90 days that Foreigner asked me to go out on tour with them, which I did not do, but I did get the invitation. So you think about those years lost going, can you imagine where I would be now?
Right.
Probably at least another 3 or 4 Renaissance Rock Orchestra records, some tours, a lot of other things. But then again, that experience changed me. It made me a different person. You are so closely tied to the earth and the water and the ocean and the wind. It's all up to you. There's nobody else to save you. And I didn't have a keyboard with me on the boat, so I missed my music so much. And so when I had the opportunity to get off the sailboat and to get back in the music industry, I was very, very ready and knew it was time for me to start writing and creating something that was Gregg Fox. And it was the boat that changed me and did that.
Were you by yourself that whole time?
No, I was married at the time, so it was me and my wife. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was a great, great boat person. She loved that boat. She probably would have lived on that boat forever. But I had to get back to rock and roll. I just had to get back to my music.
And is that what happened? Then the marriage kind of crumbled because you got off the boat? Wow.
Yeah.
How could you afford to travel like that without, I mean, you got to keep, there's expenses, right?
Yeah.
Are we making money as you're going?
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we did that. And it is very expensive to do that in some ways. The most expensive thing is moorage and dockage. And like when you go to land. So we just stocked up on all kinds of provisions, rice and beans. And of course, I was doing a lot of snorkeling and I was getting conch and we were a lot of lobster. So we were kind of eating off the ocean a pretty fair amount too. But when we sold our house in Phoenix, we did well enough on the house that we just kind of took that. And it was kind of funny. We actually literally took it and we sealed it in envelopes, like in traveler's checks, right? Traveler's checks. So we couldn't get robbed by the pirates of the Caribbean.
Right.
So we put it in envelopes and we had money set aside for every week, enough that we knew would last us at least 3 years. And we actually ended up doing better than that because we would end up sailing for so long that, we only spent the money when we would go into shore and need to pay for dockage and mooring.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Well, I've seen some just incredible things out on the ocean, hurricanes, and it makes you tough. Yeah.
Did you have rum with you or anything to drink on when you're out there?
Absolutely. But one of the things you learn when you're on a sailboat is that rum is deadly. That's what killed Blackbeard, was Blackbeard. It was the rum that destroyed the whole pirate thing. So anymore, most of the people in the Bahamas, they don't drink rum. They really drink. The most popular drink is vodka and Coke. It's very refreshing. They're not quite as bad of a hangover as the rum. So, yeah.
Wow.
So, brother, I think we need to play another song, man.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Which one do we do? Another song. Let's do this. I gotta move some things around here. I've got a different setup tonight than I normally do. So, because before the show, I broke my camera mount, and so I'm trying to do things a little differently here. So give me just a moment. So let's give a prelude into this song here, brother. We're gonna do this right here.
Dan Felgar.
A Song of Hope. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. A great choice. A Song of Hope I wrote, obviously this is the new record, a song. It's called A Song of Hope. So this is the title track. The record is called A Song of Hope 2020. And I wrote this during COVID to try to help people through COVID. And when I say that, I mean the entire world. We've all experienced so much loss, so much social dysfunction, so much social injustice. So I meant the song to be a song of hope, clearly what it states, an inspirational song to help us all get through it. And I think that it's going to end up being a little bit of a timeless track because I think it will work well for all time. This song to me, one of my inspirations is Kansas. As a keyboard player, I love the band Kansas. Yes, ELP Kansas, but Kansas was a huge influence on me, and I think that you will probably definitely hear the influences from Kansas on this song. The song includes guitars by both Tony Alleman and Christian Brady. Christian kind of handled most of the lead stuff in the song. there's not a guitar solo, but it has a lot of melodic stuff in it that Christian just killed on the song. Brian Tichy on drums, Greg Smith. We didn't talk at all too much about Greg, but brilliant bass player that I was so honored to have on this entire record, who has played with everybody from Ted Nugent to Billy Joel to Alice Cooper to Alan Parsons. And Greg played some brilliant bass parts on this, but it's the voice of Mark Bowles that, as usual on most of the tracks on this new record, just stands out as being so beautiful, brilliant, the range, the smooth quality of his voice. So I hope everybody enjoys A Song of Hope. Yeah.
Let's see how she does here. All right. Nice, brother. What a way to end the show today.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you so
incredible,
much,
man.
Greg. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
Incredible.
I'm pretty happy with that song. It makes me feel good when I hear it. I know that I hear a lot of things from people that emotionally it helps them get through some hard times and some of the losses. And yeah, that was Mark Bowles singing on that. He
Yeah.
sings every track on the new record, A Song of Hope. Yeah, so good.
Absolutely incredible, my brother.
Big thanks to all my musicians for doing this new record, the new Renaissance rock record. Yeah. Hey, everybody can go hear that on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. And I put out new videos every Tuesday and every Friday. I hope that maybe we'll be able to put out the Hangout live on one of my YouTube releases here. Yeah, let's do that. Maybe we should do that on Friday.
Absolutely, my brother. I appreciate that very much. Greg, I appreciate you more than you know for coming on and hanging out with us tonight, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, you guys. So good to see you again, Robbie. And
yeah, it's good to see you. Hopefully, I'll see you in person. Sometime this year, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah,
out there on the road somewhere.
It's good. Well, thanks so
start
much for
touring in May, so we're going to be going starting May 7th. Is our first date back.
Nice, fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm doing a show down in Phoenix with Asia, Alice Cooper, and Lou Graham on the 24th, somewhere in Phoenix. So let's not forget.
May or April?
April, actually. Yeah, you're right. April. Thank you. Yeah.
So a lot of people are probably from Arizona on here. So
yeah. So that should be fun. I'm sure they'll hear about Alice Cooper's event in April. So yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I can't wait to play again live. Oh my God.
What's that?
Right? Absolutely. Well, maybe we can work something out and get you over here, my brother. Greg, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. And we'll talk again soon. I'm excited to see about this Asia project that you got going on, brother.
Thanks.
All right. So
keep in touch with that. I love the show. You guys are doing a great job. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks,
absolutely.
Greg. Thanks for coming on, Greg. Appreciate it. Cool.
Gregg Fox joining us here on the Hangout Live tonight. What an incredible gentleman, and a history and a story that just is incredible. Stuff. Incredible. So, we've got some big things coming now. Tomorrow, you and I have a call with Twitch to get all the little things figured out and to start making that transfer over. Finally, we're going to get this done. We will be on YouTube for the next several weeks, or Facebook as well, for the next several weeks, and then we'll be going full-time onto Twitch. And on the Rams network, which is Rock Against Multiple Sclerosis, which is Nancy Sales. For those of you out there who know Nancy, she's done so much for the fight to find the cure for MS. And hats off to her, honestly. She's an incredible woman, so we're looking forward to that. And more great things to come, more great guests to come. We've got
next week we'll have Rob Mount, drummer, who's played with Lou Graham and a slew of other people. And I'm sure he's going to be a good time, a good story. So next week, Rob Mount.
Right. And for those of you who are around here in this area or want to be around this area, May 8th, I'm going to be talking with Robbie's people for Jack Russell's Great White and see if we can't get them out here. See if we can't make something happen. So Robbie's like, dude, don't put me on the spot, but I'm putting him on the spot. So we'll see if we can't make that happen.
Have guitar and amp, we'll play.
That's it, my brother. That's it. Darren, I thank you very much for the package this week, man. That was incredible. Love you for that, brother. I appreciate it very much. And for all of our hangouters out there, we love you for your support. And we'll do this again next week. Robbie?
Yes, we'll see you then.
That's a wrap. We'll see you then.